Lia, good morning.
Good morning, Louis.
It's
It's nice
so
being here.
exciting to have you here, especially this time when we have a special look and appetite to connect with the startup. So I want to have that discussion with you. I know that you are an expert on this field, but you are also the CEO of Food Campus Berlin. Can you please introduce first yourself and then your affiliation, please?
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Louis. It's a pleasure being here. So I'm Leah. I'm born and raised in Berlin. I've lived other places in the world, but I came back to Berlin because of the culture, the international community, and of course, the vibrant startup, tech, and food ecosystem. And academic-wise, I have a background in medicine and nutrition. I've worked at the intersection of food, innovation, industry for 15 years now. I've built my own food startups. I worked as an investor for Jägermeister. I write a fun newsletter about food and climate insights. I co-founded 2 NGOs, focused one around nutrition experts and bringing more evidence-based communication into the public conversation. And the other NGO is Women Climate Tech EU. We're a community for female entrepreneurs and investors within the climate tech space. And you mentioned it, since last year, I'm the CEO of Food Campus Berlin. You see it here behind me. We are building an innovation center for the future of food here in Berlin. And future is really a big word. What do we mean with that? We believe that we live in a times of multiple crises. Innovation pressure, supply chain pressure, the real climate crisis we are facing, and we need more innovation in order to meet these challenges, and we need more innovation at scale. And our philosophy is that we can foster innovation by bringing diverse perspectives together. And at the Food Campus, we're going to do that physically. Right now, we're doing virtually because the physical building is still under construction. But our goal is really to have 360-degree the food ecosystem physically on the campus, now virtually. And that could be, from seed to table. We're talking to seed producers, science institutions, associations, NGOs, startups, FMCG incumbents, but also consumer research companies, VC investors. So really all the adjacent categories as well.
So
and,
that's
yeah,
amazing.
we'll
And
pause
it's
everything.
very good. We will come back a bit more detail on the Food Campus Berlin. So we met each other during a Bridge2Food startup discussion, and you introduced the concept, the scene around the startup. And as you know, Bridge2Food is really focused on the plant-based food and sustainable solution for a better planet and a better human diet. So your Food Campus Berlin, in the way that you just described, go much beyond the plant-based food, is food in general. Is that correct?
Exactly. I mean, if we look at, the climate impact of our food system in general, the numbers, over 30% of CO2 emissions come from the food system. A significant portion comes from the meat and dairy industry. So that is a huge leverage field of innovation. And that is one of our focus areas as well. But we also tackle some other areas, such as personalized nutrition, which, if you look at the big numbers, $15 billion each year in terms of secondary costs that are associated with our food system. For every dollar we pay or we generate, we lose $1.50, and over 70% of that is health-related cost. So, and the rest are 30% food planet related costs. So really bringing innovation to all of these different areas and using technology in a scientific way, but also in a digital way, really using technology to drive those innovation fields.
So, and this center that is amazing, the size and the resources that you will put available, is planned to be open in Q3 2026, correct?
27.
Oh, 27. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
it
is
So I come from the food world, and sometimes, I thought the food world is slow. Real estate, and we are building physical real estate, is even slower. But I mean, the beauty of building something physical is also you're building something permanent. You're building a physical place that is going to bring people. So no, we are starting construction now, and we are planning to open in 2 years.
Yeah,
2020.
To me, 2026, 2027, you are planning the next 50, 60 years. So really the real future. And that is amazing because that will be even further than your time span in the role or in the industry or the activity. Is really working for a next generation or the next generation to come. So is there any constraints? So you open this space for food companies, particularly if they are considering the protection of the planet and so on, but is any constraint if I am producing, I don't know, alcoholic drink and I would like to have a place in your food campus Berlin, can I have access, or is there any constraint on the type of business that I want to embed in your organization?
So in terms of what physically, what we offer office space, we offer, lab space, but also production facilities. And for us, we curate our tenants. So it is, one thing is looking at the current business model, but also always, there's happening a lot on the back end. So it's also looking at the business strategy. Where's the company right now, but where are they aiming to be, and how ambitious are they actually of getting there?
Okay.
So it's not only looking at, what the products you see on a portfolio in terms of a company right now, but actually who are the people behind it? What are their ambitions? What are their climate ambitions and innovation ambition? And so I wouldn't per se say that, the alcohol industry is bad or those companies are bad. It's really about looking at the businesses individually.
Okay, so but you do a curation. So you take a look. It's not because I have the money I can pay for the lab and the office space and the production space that I will have a place there. You will do a curation evaluation in general, no? Very holistic, exactly. I suppose. Yeah, okay.
We really want to bring diverse perspectives.
Yeah.
So not our goal to have 100 catering companies in that space, even though a few catering companies make sense because it's also good to have different perspectives from the same industry, but we really focus on the 360 approach of bringing machine producers, NGOs, FMCG incumbents from the different categories of food and drinks category.
And in this curation, you say alcoholic drink, of course, they are part of the option that consumers have available, is legal, so is part of the what is existing today as an offer. Any constraint, this ultra-processed food or animal source, so is there any constraint, or everything that might be legally accepted in a market is part of the curation approval?
So I think it's a natural filter. Yes, we can define some hard criteria, but in the end, the companies that are solely focused on really unsustainable, unhealthy products are not naturally going to be drawn to us anyway. So we haven't even encountered these conversations because you need to have a certain vision for your own company in order to actually also to see the value add that a place like this brings. Yeah. So far we have a blacklist of where we would say that wouldn't work, but essentially we didn't even encounter any of these.
Yeah, and I think that is quite interesting because you will be able to create an ecosystem that the companies embedded in the Food Campus Berlin will cooperate each other and synergize to get much more acceleration on what they are doing, no?
Exactly.
Fantastic. So just to remember the key information. So the floor area is 47 square meter, 47,000 square meter, and then 1,500 employees. and the competence that is a smart protein, robotics, and AI, and personalized nutrition, right?
Yes, you took a good look on our website.
Right. And it's a community that you expect of more than 10,000 startups that could
So
be.
this is so that's the community we have already built.
Oh, okay, okay.
We are, in 2 years' time, we're going to be a lot bigger even. And we plan to have 100 companies physically on the ground, and that ranging from startup to scale up to corporate. And nonetheless, we know that the challenges of food system are not waiting until we have our building ready.
Yeah.
So we are already, are very active with our community. We're organizing events, summits, web talks, meetups. We do matchmaking, curated matchmaking. We are open. We're working on an open innovation platform for our campus where companies can insert their challenges and we match them with experts from our community. But so far, we have a digital platform that already over 10,000 food professionals have signed up to from Central Europe.
So you mentioned open innovation. I am vice president of open innovation for MAN, my current affiliation in terms of full-time job. What will be your pitch for someone who is leading open innovation in a corporate global organization?
So it's really always, challenges are very unique to each company. So it's always understanding what is the challenges of those companies, and then translating that to our community of how we can help them catalyze because nowadays, if you're a scientist, if you work in one field, you are an expert in that one field. But really, we don't have the time to learn everything in every industry. So it's really important to bring those experts in and to do that in a curated and fast way. So understanding where the challenges of that company are, and then doing a workshop with them, bringing A, B, and C, the different experts together, and see how we can catalyze their challenges and bring innovation to their individual need. And
yeah,
that's a classic, design thinking approach. And
I am already a believer on this. So your proposal, it seems to be amazing, having this organization that you can just go there in one-stop place, that you have this synergistic approach of so many perspective, company expertise. One of the key topics that people might approach to open innovation is the IP story, no? Because you go to a campus that you have a lot of ideas and you can start building idea from one coffee discussion with another one. So how do you handle this openness and also the concern about IP?
So that's the beauty of the structure of our campus. We have you can have your private offices where everything is secured and only you have access to. You can have your own lab that only you have access to, but then there are shared facilities that you can use. There are open community spaces. In the middle, you see where you see the solar panels. We have a event space with that can fit up to. It's a greenhouse that we're using as an event location. We can fit up to 200 people. So it is up for you to decide, what you discuss in public versus what you discuss in private. In the maker spaces we have, you mentioned alternative protein. That's one of your biggest topics. We have a maker space where startups can rent lab facilities, and build their modularly their own lab from extruders, fermenters, whatever it is that they need. And we have deals with machine producers. They're providing the machinery, but the IP generated in these maker spaces belongs to the startup. Yeah. There's no affiliation with the machine producer in terms of IP.
No, very good. So in your presentation, you compare the corporate as an elephant, what was really hard in a bit, but it's true that it's heavy and not easy to move, and a gazelle to represent symbolic the startup. So we really believe that the startup are a way to accelerate the moving to innovation from corporate organization. I like the way that you approach what startups are looking for, that is not only funding, because funding today is not too difficult. If your technology, your creation is good, you will have funding from different places. But having the right partner, no, what is the corporate that will really be the good marriage for that startup? And you say startups are seeking resources, and to me, that is the highest value that we can provide. Looking on man for a startup seeking the best marriage is providing our expertise and the mentoring, no, the capacity because of the experience that we have, 153 years in the market. We can provide this more expert advice and having the right question to the startup. The resources, well, the multiple that you can imagine, from analytical and so on, but especially the capacity to understand what is the market impact that the technology might have and provide good advices. And then the brand. So the brand is always stronger in a corporate than in a startup. And you say the corporate look in acceleration. That clearly is one way to accelerate innovation, access to technology, and financial return. That if we do the right work, we will get that. But to me, it's very important that the corporate, because we feel very proud, the elephant, as you said, we are very empathetic with the startup because they are really having many other potential candidate that could be other corporate. So we need to understand the dialogue because these are more fragile organizations. If you put the elephant, so the gazelle can be overwhelmed with this power. So what is your advice for a corporate when we are dating one particular startup that we're interested on?
So I would say it first depends on, what kind of collaboration model you have with them. Is it an open innovation R&D project you're doing together? Is it VC investment? Is your venture clienting model? So first, that depends on the model of collaboration. But then I've worked in both worlds. The world, I've been a startup founder. I've worked for a corporate leading the food investments. So I understand both sides. And I strongly believe on both sides, it's not only the corporates, same on the startups, to foster an understanding for the other side. You need translators. That's ideally, like the corporate has someone internal, portfolio manager, an open innovation manager, someone that can translate and that can build bridges. The startup needs to understand that the speed of processes sometimes take a bit longer in a corporate, and that you're not only going to be talking to one person, but they are different stakeholders for different topics. So really building that mutual understanding. And then being a spokesperson. If you, as a startup, if you don't have someone within the corporate who is really like your spokesperson, who's backing you, who knows the insights, who knows who to connect you to, you're going to be lost.
I agree. I fully agree with that. Is having one person from the corporate environment who will be the single contact. Because normally in the startup, you have the CEO, you have 3, 4, 5 key people in the organization. But you need to have one individual in the corporate that will be responsible to sponsor that relationship and facilitate, because if not, they will get lost to navigate the elephant, as you said. So fully agree. And in the models, let's rephrase the model. So you say merchant acquisition can be a model. It will be very quickly moving to integrate a company. But then you say entrepreneurship. So it seems that a company has someone or a group of employees that can take the entrepreneurial approach and create their own startup, if I understood. No, that will be the model, or will be when you define the intra or entrepreneurship, what do you mean with that?
So entrepreneurship means that employees within the company act like
startup by themselves.
Exactly. So it's inside out innovation. Because startup founders are very visionary people, but you also have these people within your company. have people that have ideas. So creating programs, entrepreneurship programs of opportunities where employees can bring in their own ideas and develop, and then get budget and resources to actually develop innovative
projects.
And
time, to do that. Yeah, very good. Then the other one is incubator. So can you define incubator?
So incubators are set programs that a company can set up and that that supports early stage startups. So it gives, as a corporate, it gives you access to early stage startups, and vice versa. You provide either sometimes office space, some mentorship, or sometimes capital to the startups. And incubators are very popular formats. They are organized sometimes by external partners. EIT, is a big player where corporates then join as mentors or as sponsors, for example. Or some corporates have their own incubators as well.
Then you say another model is venture building. Can you define?
So venture building essentially means that you're building a startup, but not necessarily from within the corporate, such as you do with incubation, with entrepreneurship, but often with the support of an external partner, like Bridgemaker is an example, for example, here in Germany. They help you build your own corporate startup by bringing in the right, you give your challenges, they help you create a business model for that challenge, and then they help you bring the external experts and the people that are going to build this company for you.
Okay. And then you have accelerator, another model. So how is this model defined, accelerator?
It's similar to like an incubation model, but it is in a different stage of a startup. So they are a bit more advanced.
More advanced.
I mean, the same as, the words already say, incubation is very early phase, is more in the idea phase, defining a business model, finding a market fit, and acceleration is more of supporting startups through capital, mentorship, education, market insights, the road to scale. And
they are more advanced. Then you have CVC.
So CVC means, that's a corporate venture capital. So investment unit of a startup, of a corporate that can either invest independently or off the balance sheet of the companies. And most CVCs are strategic CVCs, so they don't only follow the return of investment, but they look for investments that have synergies to their core business.
Okay.
And the value add here for the corporate is, of course, access to emerging technologies, exciting business models, but at the same time, be so early in a partnership with a startup that it could potentially also, you can build your own M&A pipeline.
Okay. And the last two models that you presented was venture clienting.
Yeah, venture clienting means that it's a concept where a corporate becomes a client of a startup product or a service. So the value add here for the corporate is you get leverage, you get to leverage the technology, but no financial risk or all the bureaucracy.
You buy the product the startup produces.
Exactly. Right? You're a client.
Okay, you are a client. And then the last one is co-creation.
So co-creation is, it's the most broad, is where you mutually find to work on a certain project together. That could be an R&D project, that could be a sales project. So the startup and a corporate decide the frame of a partnership of in a project that they want to do together. And often co-creation is a beginning, and then it merges into one of the other model.
Yeah. So what is the model on the 6A model that you presented that is the most used by corporate? Number one and number two, what are the two most used models?
In terms of fund, I think it's really independent. And many companies follow different approaches, so it's not only either or that they have. Okay. I believe if you were just getting started and want to explore the ecosystem, the whole startup ecosystem. If you have had no touch points in the past, then partnering with an external accelerator such as EIT can be a good start, because it gives you exposure to the ecosystem at very little cost, and you can like test the waters.
Okay.
For more established companies, CVC or co-creation can be a very common form of collaboration. Yeah.
Okay,
But
very good.
I think one more thought. If you're 100% clear on your own like corporate strategy, then venture clienting can be effective. But you really need to have your own internal innovation roadmap already cleared out before you start collaborating. Otherwise, as we discussed, a few minutes ago, it's going to happen that the collaboration somehow gets lost. And if you partner with a startup and then realize it doesn't even match your own corporate innovation strategy.
No, very clear. Thank you, Lia. Let's go back to Lia Carlucci and talk about you. I see that you are very engaged on this co-founding on the Women in Climate Technology for Europe, also the Women in Leadership Development Program with University of Oxford. What is your motivation to really support women as leaders? So what is the need that you see? Probably the question is very obvious, but I would like you to reply that question. Why are you so engaged? You are a leader, you are a woman leader. So why you are so active supporting other women to become really supported on the leadership career?
Because I'm a scientist by background, so I like looking at data and at numbers. And if we look at the data, only 20% of startups are founded by women, and only 2% of global VC capital is going into all-female teams. So that's one slide. On the other hand, we see companies that have at least one woman in the founding team are more successful in the long term. They're less insolvencies. They are more generally revenue generating. So there's the upside, but at the same time, the upside doesn't match the current status. So I believe anything we can do to motivate more women to become founders, and also at the same time to bring more female people in the VC units, in the investment companies, then we create a movement. And this is where I strongly believe things need to change, because projections show if we continue the way that we are right now, it's still going to take 100 years until we hit parity, and in terms of like startups or business leadership for women and men. And I don't know if I'm going to be still alive in 100 years. I want to experience that we meet parity, and that's why I believe we need to accelerate it. And with Women Climate Tech EU, we've built an exclusive community for female entrepreneurs and investors. Climate Tech, which also includes, the impact food tech, and we're connecting dots. We're providing visibility to female change makers within climate tech, and that's one key motivation for me.
Yeah, and I think it's very kind from your side that clearly you identify this need, but you also decided to really make an effort and spend time and your energy and your competence to support this. So I have 3 daughters, so I understand what we are talking about. I have a lot of female in my team. I delegate, and my succession plan in my previous role in MAN is to a woman, so Margot Caballés, who is a very talented young woman with high potential. So I really believe that we need to really pay attention to understand the balance. It's clearly not balanced. It's 20% of the startup and led by women. Something is happening there, so it's good that you are actively working there. So what is the most important human skill that you consider critical in any human being, female or male? So what is the non-negotiable human skill?
I believe it is, in terms of starting a company or being in leadership, is staying curious.
In the corporate life or startup life, in our professional activities.
I would say staying curious to how the market is changing, staying curious to new trends that are emerging, staying curious to how your own company is changing, and being flexible and adaptive, of changing along with it. And the worst thing you can always say, we've done it for 15 years this way, that's why we're going to continue.
Yeah.
No, the future is never, it doesn't work linear. What worked in the past is not going to work in the future.
Yeah.
So really being dynamic, being flexible, and staying curious.
Yeah, I love that. Let me add one additional human skill there, that is courage, because I see people that are curious but not taking the risk to move ahead with that curiosity and really walk the talk and really try to expose, be visible, and do something there. So curiosity plus courage is giving us the opportunity to grow and change the paradigm if we want to change the paradigm. So Lia, back again on this, you mentioned your background, scientific background on nutritional science and biochemistry, but you started medicine, so for a couple of years, and then you moved to nutrition. Can you explain why did you move from medicine to nutrition?
So this is particular for the way that medical education is structured in Germany. So I've always been fascinated by the impact that the nutrition can have on our own human health. So I went to medical school, but then actually in the process realized in the whole 6 years, there's only one lecture on nutrition. And knowing that over 80% of diseases are nutrition related, I was like, nutrition is such a strong leverage we have. We need to foster, prevention rather than only curation. So I decided to leave medical school and study nutrition science directly.
Very smart, very fair. No, it's true. I think it's changing right now in the US at least, but yeah.
Luckily, it is changing.
Luckily,
there are some good institutions. In Germany, it is, for example, PAN, Physicians Association for Nutrition, that are really fostering nutrition education for medical doctors. And it is a slow process. It's getting there. When I studied, it was still a few years ago. It wasn't the case yet. So.
Yeah. So going back to Lia, can you share with us one passion that you have?
So I'm one passion. I'm a very curious person. I have different passions. I mean, of course, one is spending time with my family, with the kids. The other is learning new stuff. But what I strongly believe in is I don't know if you would call it passion, but it's really having an impact with the work I do and using my skills like as a force for good. And that could be in the private context, building up the little personalities of the kids. That could be in the business context of being able to use my academic knowledge as well as my business network to really, with the food campus, create something that is going to have an impact and catalyze a sustainable transition of a food system. So it's a long answer, but I think the one passion I would say is really being impact driven. And I believe we all have a mission in life. And I know that my mission really is to create a more sustainable food system.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Very nice. Can you share one pride? Something that you are very proud of, that can be a failure or a success, something that was really very significant in your life.
There's a saying, we live life forward and we understand it backwards. When I left medical school, people were looking at me like I'm crazy. I was like, why are you doing that? You're going to be unemployed. Like nutrition science, people thought like, you're going to be a taxi driver. You're going to be unemployed. Like, why are you doing that? You had the opportunity to become a medical doctor. And it's like, I internally, I felt like, no, this is the right way for me. So now being in a position where I can, tell people, it's like, I did the right decision. I believed in my, my intuition. And yes, I'm not unemployed. And yes, I'm not driving taxi. And even if I were, that's not to diminish anyone who's driving a taxi. But that for me, I think is really I'm proud of the courage I had to trust my intuition and to go beyond what everyone else was telling me to do.
That's fantastic, Lia. I really love that. It's a fantastic pride. Thank you for sharing. You have many competence. You have to pick up one that is the one that in a little bit everybody will recognize and distinguish you amongst others.
What I can say, what at least has been feedback to me, is that I'm a very motivating person, that I'm so passionate about the things that I do, that I'm able to take people along with me on the journey. And even if it is challenging tasks or annoying tasks, sometimes, I mean, right now, we're querying our tenants, we're discussing rental contracts that are like 50 pages long. Like, this is not a fun job to do, but motivating people and really seeing a purpose and in the work that we do, and that gets you through challenging times.
Yeah, I can confirm. It's inspirational, your talking point and the way that you communicate. Fully agree. So finally, can you share with us one objective that is top of mind today when you wake up in the morning, is what keep you busy and you would like to share with us? Can be personal or professional.
So my one objective, I think is how can we speed up how can we catalyze the shift, the food system transition? Because we know of the scientific facts for over 50 years, and if we trust science, which we should, the window is closing, the window of opportunity is closing. So there is still a window of opportunity, and Einstein said, in every crisis there is a chance for positive transformation, for an opportunity. So I still believe that we can leverage this in a positive way, but what drives me is that question, how can we speed things up?
Speed up.
Which stakeholder do we need to convince? How do we convince them? Which companies do we need to bring together? So it's really bringing momentum and how we can accelerate that.
I love that. So that this Discovery Insight, the this profile, it seems like the red profile, that is go fast, no? You are a red profile.
Fast.
So Lia, would you like to ask a question to myself?
What is your, just because I get that asked a lot, the question, what is your vision? Let's, project a future 2050. How do you see the world of food different in 2050 than from now? So 25 years from now.
That's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking. So the reason that we are here is because I really was very impacted with your presentation, your approach, the synergistic approach, and the communication between different stakeholders and perspective. I really believe on the progress that we can make, speeding up, acceleration through the community. Bridge2Food is a community of industry, academia, all startups or corporate, B2B or B2C, all working together with a movement that is for a sustainable diet. And we are targeting in a very holistic approach, because we integrate cultivated meat, cultivated fat, biotechnology, new crops, even traditional crops, soy, everything that is approved and is safe for the population, mycoprotein or pea, whatever is part of the total solution that is better for the human being and the planet, this is what we support. And we believe that the vast majority of consumers are conscious omnivore, moving to have a more balanced diet than pure vegan or vegetarian. So we are very holistic and really enjoy that community working together. So when I see the future 2050, I see that through this co-opetition more than competition, so not fighting each other, working together, this is the best way that we can speed up and move in the Gartner hype cycle to the slope of enlightenment. We are now in the true of disillusionment on this category, and we need to take the right decision to move to the highest level of consumer expectation. So paying attention on taste and texture, nutrition, affordability, because at the very beginning, the price in the market was too high, and then sustainability that we can measure, not only saying, oh, it's more sustainable. Show me how much sustainable it is. How much energy do you save, the carbon footprint, and finally, good labeling, that the labeling would be accepted by the consumer. I would not say you need to remove methyl cellulose, but it's not good. It depends. It depends on the market. So everything that is legally approved and safe, you can use and then offer to consumer different options. So really believe that the food innovation would not be revolution because the food is very connected to the emotion. So all the science, I have a PhD in biochemistry, but I know that I need to be a social scientist when I communicate to consumer, because if not, they can be scared about all this lab and science. So that might be accepted for a new iPhone, but it's different for a new food, a new protein, a new fat. So we need to be very careful, simple, easy language to understand that. So all what is in the challenge that we have in front of us, for me, is an opportunity to work together and collaborate.
I love that. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. You know, we need a food system transformation, and a big piece of that is the meat and dairy industry. And I don't believe that animal-derived meat is going to disappear in the next 25 years. So how do we make that more circular? How to make meat industry more sustainable? But at the same time, you know, increase the offering for consumers, increase the basket variety by tasteful, by healthy, by sustainable products. So 100% agree with you. And the storytelling is key. We need more green storytelling. We need more positive scenarios, because if we look at the future, or if we look at some of the projections, it can be very scary.
Mm-hmm.
It can be scary, and it's like doomsday scenarios, and people feel like, okay, it's too late anyway. No, it's not too late. The future is not set yet. We're still creating it. So everyone, as an individual, but also within companies, you can have an impact.
Yeah, you are a very good living example on everything that we discussed during this podcast. So thank you so much, Lia, for your time, your energy, your passion on what you are doing. I wish you all the best, and keep doing everything that is on the technical community, but also supporting females and leaders and all what is related to the human being. That we talk a lot about artificial intelligence, but we're still very important individuals, social species, and connected to the emotion and the thinking and the behavior. So all of this is so important to create the community that you are planning for Food Campus Berlin. All the best, Lia, and stay in touch.
Thank you, Louis. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.